The grand amphitheater of the Galactic Council fell silent as Ambassador Zeftai of the Vraxian Empire rose from his crystalline seat. His 6 eyes gleamed with predatory satisfaction as he addressed the assembly of over 300 species. Esteemed members of the Council. Zeftai's voice resonated through the universal translators. Today we gather to discuss the persistent problem of the human species. Murmurs rippled through the vast chamber. The humans had been members of the Galactic Council for only 50 standard years, yet they had already proven themselves to be remarkably stubborn in matters of galactic policy. The humans, continued Zeftai, his mandibles clicking in what his species considered amusement, refused to comply with the Standardized Fleet Limitations Treaty. They insist on maintaining their primitive chemical-based weapons and their outdated kinetic projectiles. Their largest vessels barely qualify as light cruisers by our standards. Ambassador Kethra of the Aquatic Syndicate's tentacles writhed, in agreement. Indeed, their entire fleet consists of perhaps 200 vessels, hardly a threat to any civilized species, yet they continue to resist our generous offer of protection in exchange for planetary mining rights. The human representative, Ambassador Sarah Chen, sat quietly in her modest section of the amphitheater. Unlike the other species who displayed their power through elaborate bioluminescent displays, psionic auras, or imposing physical forms, she appeared almost insignificant in her simple dark blue uniform. Zeftai's eyes focused on her. Ambassador Chen, your species has 3 standard days to accept our protection treaty, or face the consequences of your independence. Sarah stood slowly, her movement drawing the attention of hundreds of alien eyes, sensors, and other perceptual organs. When she spoke, her voice was calm and measured. Ambassador Zeftai, I appreciate the Council's concern for humanity's welfare. However, I must respectfully decline your offer. She paused, a slight smile playing at the corners of her mouth. You see, we've recently completed an inventory of our defensive capabilities. I thought the Council might find the results interesting. The Vraxian's mandibles clicked faster, a sign of growing irritation. Ambassador Chen, your species possesses no significant military assets. Our intelligence networks are quite thorough. Oh, I'm sure they are, Sarah replied, touching a small device on her wrist. Computer, please display the current status of the Sol defense grid. The holographic display at the center of the amphitheater flickered to life, showing the familiar yellow star of the human home system. What appeared next caused several species to emit sounds of confusion and disbelief. Surrounding Earth, Mars, and the asteroid belt, thousands upon thousands of objects became visible. Not the few hundred ships the Council's intelligence had reported, but an armada that defied comprehension. What you're seeing, Sarah explained calmly, are the 47,000 active vessels of the human defense fleet. What your intelligence networks detected were our merchant marine and exploration vessels. The chamber erupted in chaos. Delegates from dozens of species began transmitting urgent messages to their home worlds. Ambassador Zeftai's crystalline skin flushed from blue to deep purple. Impossible, he snarled. Our sensors would have detected— Your sensors are quite advanced, Sarah interrupted. They can detect quantum signatures, psionic emanations, and exotic matter reactors from several light years away. But they weren't designed to detect what we call dark ships. The display zoomed in on one of the massive structures orbiting Earth. What had initially appeared to be a large asteroid revealed itself to be a warship of unprecedented size, its hull composed of what looked like ordinary rock and ice. Humans, you see, have always been quite good at hiding things. We've had thousands of years of practice. When we joined the galactic community, we realized that our primitive technologies had certain advantages. Chemical explosives, kinetic weapons, and fusion reactors produce very little exotic signature. They're practically invisible to sensors designed to detect more advanced technologies. Kethra's tentacles had turned pale with shock. The power requirements, the industrial capacity. How did you construct such a fleet without detection? The asteroid belt contains more raw materials than most inhabited star systems, Sarah replied. Automated mining and manufacturing facilities, powered by fusion reactors hidden inside genuine asteroids. We've been building continuously for the past 30 years. Each ship is a fortress, heavily armored and armed with weapons your shields weren't designed to stop. The Galactic Council's military advisor, a massive silicon-based entity called Core 7, processed the data with increasing alarm. These vessels, their firepower exceeds Council dreadnoughts by several orders of magnitude. How is this possible with primitive technology? Sarah's smile widened. When you've spent millennia perfecting the art of killing each other, you develop certain insights. A tungsten rod traveling at a significant fraction of light speed doesn't care about your energy shields. A fusion warhead doesn't need exotic matter to level a city. Sometimes the old ways are the most effective ways. She gestured to the display, which now showed detailed schematics of human weapon systems. Each of our warships carries enough conventional ordnance to crack a planet's crust. They're crewed by humans who've been training in zero-gravity combat since childhood and commanded by officers who study something we call military history, the systematic analysis of thousands of years of warfare. The silence in the chamber was absolute now. Even the most warlike species in the Council had never contemplated such overwhelming firepower concentrated in a single system. Now, Sarah continued, her voice still perfectly calm, I want to assure the Council that humanity has no aggressive intentions toward any member species. We built this fleet for one purpose only, to ensure that no one would ever again suggest that we need their protection. She sat down, folding her hands in her lap. The Sol system remains open to peaceful trade and diplomatic contact. However, any attempt to enforce the Council's will upon humanity will be met with an appropriate response. Ambassador Zeftai slumped in his seat, his mandibles now clicking, in what his species recognized as fear. Around the amphitheater, delegates who had moments before been discussing the partition of human space now frantically recalculated the balance of galactic power. In the space of a single presentation, humanity had transformed from a minor, backward species to the single most powerful military force in the galaxy, and they had done it so quietly that no one had noticed until it was far too late to stop them. The age of human protection was over before it had truly begun.